And we are live. So, welcome to the Summer of Sci-Fi Fantasy. I am the American Werewolf. This is an American Werewolf in New Jersey. In the house tonight, we've got Bill E. Jersey. Stopping in from around the Asbury Park area. And thanks for joining me once again.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
glad to be here. I'm sorry that there aren't more people on the panel. It's sometimes that's the only time I get to see these guys. I look forward to seeing them, and then they're busy.
We're going to get to that in a minute. Before we do, though, I want to say one of our own is down right now, and I'm talking about John Alvarez, good friend of the show and one of my good friends for more than 35 years, and I think the same with Bill here, who's currently in the hospital right now with some cardiac issues.
Oh boy!
So yeah, John is down right now, and I just wanted to say that we here at the show are praying for him and hoping that he makes a full recovery as soon as possible, and gets his ass back on the show talking our ears off. Because that's what John does, and that's why we love him. So we love you, man.
Yeah.
And we hope that you're back with us soon and up out of that damn sick house.
Get better, Cranky.
Yeah, exactly. He was here last week for the Flash. He lost 60 pounds.
That's could be positive, but
yeah. I think this was something that was going to happen anyway. But I mean, he said it was amazing what you could do with double knee replacements, giving you back the ability to walk. So getting his knees done and being able to move around, he looked great. He sounded great. And then unfortunately, life sometimes doesn't let you off the hook right away.
Yeah, I'm sure the weather's not helping. The humidity and the mugginess cannot be good for breathing. And then we had that bout of smoke coming down from Canada. That couldn't have helped the situation.
Yeah, and we had that bout of smoke coming up from Bass River.
Right. You guys had Bass River.
Yeah, that was bad, man.
Up here. Yeah, there was just fires everywhere.
I thought I was walking out one day in fucking Schindler's List. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Shit's just ash is fucking dropping down from the sky. I'm like, did we nuke Port Republic? I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
It was like being in the road.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was actually. Yeah. I see my neighbor going down the street with his fucking shopping cart. And I'm like, oh, all right. We're already at it. Start filling up the tub. So the purpose of this show this evening, talking about sci-fi fantasy, is to discuss Denis Villenueve's DUNE. Yeah. And DUNE dropped in 2021 while we were still in the stranglehold of the pandemics and the lockdowns, and I think it went straight to HBO. I don't think it even got a theatrical release, which is a shame. And as I watch movies like this, it occurs to me that I need more than a 31-inch television set. So at some point, I'm going to have to get better about that. But I just watched it again, maybe for the third time since it's come out. I saw it once when it dropped. I bought it on Blu-ray, and then I just watched it again for the show. Now, this is based on the book by Frank Herbert, which dropped... When did DUNE drop? I discovered DUNE somewhere in the early... This is 1965.
Yeah.
So I discovered DUNE in the late 80s, early 90s, in my college phase. I've only read them once. I've read the Frank Herbert books, not the Brian Herbert. I didn't get to those. I didn't hear bad things. I just never got around to them. I read the first three, DUNE, Children of DUNE, and DUNE Messiah. And they're I thought they were fantastic. I'm going to have to get back into them again soon. The second movie is about to drop. I guess the purpose of this particular show is to discuss, to figure out, is this film cinema? This show sort of works on three categories. At the lowest category, you just have content, which is filler, kind of low-level stuff. Generally, we don't cover very much of that here on the show. A lot of the other stuff that we have, a lot of the middle tier that we cover is entertainment. And I would argue that a lot of what we cover on this show runs to mid to high level entertainment. But then you get that thing that occasionally transcends that to what I consider to be the highest level, and that is cinema.
Right.
Off the top of your head, before we get into it too deeply, give me your general opinion of what you thought of Denis Villenueve's Dune.
Okay. This is the other problem with not having a lot of people on the panel. I am not a Dune guy at all. I have never read the books.
Oh, really?
Never watched the 1984 movie with Sting and Kyle MacLachlan. Never watched the TV show in 2000. It is just something.
Wait! Before you go on too far, I brought something in for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Congratulations!
I came back to bite me. I texted that to all you guys.
It's like The Wire when McNulty tells him where he doesn't want to go. Just don't send me to the boats.
Exactly. Oh my God. Okay. I deserve that. Sting in his 8-pack. Yeah.
I remember when Sumner's Tales came out, not to go on a Sting sidetrack, but it was like 30 years ago. And like the whole documentary was him doing yoga. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't the Police. They're not covering any studio jam sessions or anything like that. It's just him watching him breathe for 45 minutes. I'm like, okay, I guess this is one way to go.
I'm telling you.
All right. I guess, that's longevity, more power to him. He lives a healthy life.
Sure.
I heard he goes to the pub all the time with no money. He never has any money on him or something like that.
Never needs it. He's Sting.
Yeah, I suppose. Oh, it's always on the house.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I always knew about Dune, but all I really knew was, it's about some spice, and there's a planet, and it's a desert, and there's giant worms, and go fuck yourself. I never really got into it. Not that I thought it was bad. It just never entered the sort of Star Wars, Lord of the Rings world that I built around myself. Right. It just never occurred to me. And I've had friends carrying around that book. I know the classic paperback cover art. I know, Dune. I know what it's about. I've seen it referenced all the time. But up until 4 days ago, I'd never really watched or indulged in any Dune whatsoever.
Okay, so let's take it from there. What did you think of the film?
I thought it was pretty good. It captured my attention. I didn't go run into my phone to, scroll while I was waiting for, bullshit to go by. So it really captured my attention. I thought it was filmed incredibly well, and it had a great soundtrack. So I enjoyed it. I mean, I really don't know if it's a good adaptation or a bad adaptation, or, was it full of woke? Is it not full of woke? I don't know. All I know is it was a pretty good story. It was sort of like I kept joking with my wife. It's like Game of Thrones in outer space, with this house fighting that house, and there's machinations. I thought it was pretty clever to be 10,000 years in the future when, humans had gone so far into space that there was just these little remnants of Earth popping up, like Duncan, Idaho. This guy's got a name. He's named after Idaho, which is probably on a planet that no one's seen for years.
Yeah.
The bagpipes was funny. The ancient the ancient antique of the bullhead on the wall of the family crest. It was interesting. So there's a lot of cool ideas at play. Being an Isaac Asimov reader, I thought that was pretty cool. Seeing humans projected out into the galaxy and colonizing worlds and all. So, all that captured my attention. It was paced really well. I was never
Yeah.
bored.
Yeah.
The effects were fantastic. I love the dragonfly ships or helicopters or whatever you want to call them. It was all really good. I don't understand why 10,000 years in the future we're still fighting with samurai swords when you've got spaceships that can blow stuff up. But whatever.
That's a fair point. I mean, but it was written in '65, so that's just to answer this specific question for you. This is a pretty loyal adaptation to the source material.
Okay.
So what we have here is pretty much what's in the book, and of course, I mean, this is not a short story.
Not at all.
This is not a novella. I'm looking here, and 850, 860, about 900 pages.
Sure.
So I mean, there's a lot of detail.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of thought, things operating on several levels, but that essentially the old human qualities, the nature of man, so to speak, never really changes.
Yeah.
You've got love, you've got loyalty. You've also got, treachery and betrayal and greed and deceit, and the capacity for murder. You have people protecting, their loved ones, that never-ending need for power. The lines are pretty clearly drawn between good and evil.
Yeah.
I thought that it had a great cast. With maybe one or two exceptions.
Zendaya pulled me right out of it.
Yeah, that's the first one I was going to mention. I'm not a Zendaya fan. She's like that's got to be like Gen Z lip service.
Yeah, it's not her fault. I mean, she did a fair job in the movie. It's just every time I saw her on screen, the back of my head is screaming, "Hey, that's Spider-Man's girlfriend."
Mary Jane. Yeah, what the hell? Mary Jane made it out into space.
Yeah.
We've got, Timothée Chalamet, who I don't really know. I don't know anything about him other than this. He's got that wafy sort of, girl boy thing going on, the very feminine sort of, but he's a big hit, so they hired somebody who's, younger. In the original Lynch movie, it was Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah. And he did look older in that movie, even though he's supposed to be young 20-something. But
I think he's supposed to be 14.
Oh, in the book. And that Kyle MacLachlan was the wrong guy for that.
Yeah, well, we've seen that many times when we watch these sorts of movies from the 80s and everything. And, you'll see, this guy was supposed to be 19 and it looks like he's 35. The kids that they would hire for high school movis. Back in the day looked absolutely nothing like
freshman.
Yeah.
But yeah, this seemed to follow like the recent trend of tween action stars, appealing to teenagers, and all the adults are bad and evil, and it's the tweens that are going to set things right.
Well, the thing of it is I don't think he did a bad job.
Right.
I don't think he did a bad job. He was pretty fucking good in this.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a lot of good people in this. You had Dave Bautista. I like Dave Bautista. I know it's easy to make fun of him because he used to be a professional wrestler, this, that, or the other. But I think he takes a lot of chances with the roles that he was in Blade Runner 2049. He's done a little MCU humor. He's done some M. Night Shyamalan shit. Now he's starring with Villenueve.
I just saw him in that M. Night Shyamalan movie, and he was fantastic in that too. So I'm glad to see him getting roles where he can be kind of a serious actor and show some chops. I also saw him
The Rock.
I saw him a long time ago in a really, really terrible B movie about a janitor in Brooklyn, sort of protecting people when the white nationalists come attacking Brooklyn in helicopters. It was horrible, a horrible premise, but he did a pretty good job in that too. And that was right before I saw Guardians of the Galaxy. So I kind of saw him as a serious actor, and then as Guardians of the Galaxy MCU, and then back to this serious acting because I saw the M. Night Shyamalan movie and this back to back. And I thought, yeah, he did a pretty good job.
He's trying. He's trying. As opposed to The Rock, who never takes any chances. He always plays The Rock.
Right,
in every movie. There's a meme out there with like 4 different pictures of The Rock all in the same shirt. And they're like, this is bullshit. These are actually 4 different movies.
That's right.
These are actually 4 different movies. And he's wearing the same like khaki sort of short sleeve shirt that, shows all his arms like in all the movies. It's the same fucking movie. You had Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
As Leto Atreides. I'm a little tired of Oscar Isaac, not as tired as I am of Pedro Pascal. I'm so sick. I'm so fucking sick of Pedro Pascal. But I liked him here as Duke Leto. Mm-hmm. Who else? We had Josh Brolin.
Yeah, Josh Brolin and Momoa both stood out and did a really, really good job. As soon as I saw Momoa, I was like, oh, God damn it, here we go. Because he's a guy who I think is typecast and he's constantly playing just these cookie cutter roles where he just sort of sleepwalks through them. But this one, I bought it. I bought him in that role as Duncan Idaho. I liked it.
Yeah. It was really, I mean, Josh Brolin, he's only in it for a little bit. He has 2, maybe 3 scenes.
Mm-hmm. Well, the training was great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, in the Lynch movie, this role is played by Patrick Stewart, who's still fucking bald and looks like he's 70 back in like 1984.
Right. That was right after Excalibur when we proved he could be a knight of some sort.
Who else do we have? We have we have Momoa. We have Rebecca Ferguson as the lady as Lady Jessica from Dr. Sleep.
Yeah,
she was great in that. You have Stellan fucking Skarsgård, who's just so fucking evil.
Yes, and I didn't recognize him at first. I was like hooked into like, what the hell is that thing on his back? Because I keep flashing back to what I remember from 1984, and that was just a really, really bad rendition of that character with like the pockmarks and the flying around and.
Yeah,
the stuff I saw in the trailer, which is part of the reason why I never bothered to watch it, because I was just like, this is gonna be bullshit.
I as a rule, I generally think that David Lynch movies kind of are bullshit. It's kind of like watching an Umberto Eco, reading an Umberto Eco book. Like some people say, you just read it because it's Umberto Eco. The books don't actually, make that much fucking sense.
Right.
And it's the same with Lynch. Every time I watch a David Lynch movie, I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Well, sometimes that's really a good challenge because you're trying to figure out backstory just from performance. But I don't know if it applies to an epic sci-fi fantasy where that's not what you're trying to. It's not that.
Actually, him giving Dune a shot didn't allow him to do as much as he normally does.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to stick with it. Hold on a second. We got a lot of comments here. Of course, we got Nerd Cookies, I said earlier on, because he was going to do a stream on Dune, and I put like the first comment in. I'm like, we're doing it tonight, man. And the question, of course, is it cinema? Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes.
Okay.
We got Patrick from Have Cheetah Will View, and he said he read Dune decades ago. I'm going to read it again, prepping me up for the second movie. And I think this Zoinks was in response to Sting. Having to look at Sting and that fucking ridiculous. And you can see already, I mean, from how idiotic Sting looks back then to the tone of what you just watched 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Clearly they're taking it far more seriously. Mm-hmm. I think Villenueve is a far more serious actor. There is some humor in this, but largely it's not, there's not that much. It's kind of a very serious tone.
I really appreciated that. That's part of my trepidation with Dune, is that its reputation for people who are not into Dune was it's nonsense. And what I remember from the trailer from '84 and Sting and the TV adaptation, I was just like, yeah, all right, I'll take your word for it. It's and this is coming from a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings guy. If I'm going, that's too goddamn nerdy. Then it's going to turn me off.
Yeah, this has a lot more depth, I would argue, than Star Wars.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And most of this.
I'm just saying, I'm not against Dune because I don't like nerd stuff. I'm way into the nerd stuff. It's just the thing that I never got into, and part of it was its reputation of being for ultra nerds.
It's highbrow.
Right.
It's highbrow sci-fi, and that brings into the question of cinema. This isn't, it's not even like Ridley Scott's Alien, which I love or something like, this story is much more deep than that.
Yeah, it's on the level. I can tell the writing is on the level of its contemporary Lord of the Rings. It has more levels and more depth to it than a sci-fi movie. Like I said, it's Game of Thrones in space.
Like when you get to Dr. Yu, betraying everybody.
Yeah.
But you hate him. Like, I hated Dr. Yu. But then you see why. He's like, they've been torturing my wife.
Yeah.
They're pulling my wife apart like a doll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Telling me about it, and they say if I, they'll set my wife free. There are human reasons. It's relatable.
Yeah, it's a really good exploration of totalitarianism, oppressive, and at the time it was written, it would have been recalling World War II, but also the Cold War, 100%.
Yeah. Because you is just, you like him, and then you realize, holy shit, he's just fucking killed everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear why, and you're like, okay, I almost kind of understand that, Castellar, Daniel Garcia, he says Dune never took off in the 80s. I think because of Lynch's interpretation of it. It just comes across as campy.
Yeah.
And you could argue that that's just the limitation of the time, maybe, or you could just argue that it's David fucking Lynch. Because if you can make Dune and if you can make Alien in like 79, you could probably do something.
There's no excuse. The effects on the trailer are bad. The whole setup is bad. And here we go. Yeah. Mystical mom, space witch, and she's named Jessica. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Calling back Earth names.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that she was introduced as his concubine. Like, it's not his wife. He says that, right before, it all goes to shit. He's like, I should have married you. But like, she's his concubine. Mm-hmm. You probably couldn't write something like that nowadays. Mm-hmm. I thought that was an interesting turn. And how, these sort of witches are like, they're sort of controlling the politics for their own designs.
Yes.
The politicians and the barons and the emperor all think that, the witches work for them, but really it's kind of the other way around. They just don't know it. They're the ones secretly kind of controlling everything. It's these cast of women, that stand outside of society. And, I just like that whole thing with the voice. I just thought that was fucking awesome, and the way they handled it, like with the sound effects. Mm-hmm. The way people just drop to their knees, and this sort of shit. I thought it was fucking great.
It's interesting that these are all like very feminine powers, as opposed to the very militaristic world that the men inhabit. It's very much on the level of elves, really, Galadriel and such. But she's teaching these secrets to the young man, which it seemed out of character, but she was very, very much into teaching him all these secrets that seemed to be female only.
Well, this whole idea that you see in the beginning of the movie where she's very much chastised, for not giving birth to a daughter.
Mm.
You know, they want another witch, but you know, maybe the wife, you know, Lady Jessica has this idea that if I have this boy, he might actually be this destined sort of messiah, you know, the person that's going to save everybody, because that's sort of what the point of all this is. You know, is this boy, you know, this little boy, actually, you know, the messiah who's going to bring, you know, order, you know, to the galaxy, you know, because, you know, the emperor, who you haven't seen yet, and my understanding in the second movie, he's going to be played by Christopher Walken.
Oh no!
That could go either way.
Yeah, that could go really bad then.
If Walken plays it super serious, and I think under this particular under Villenueve's direction, I think he'll get it right.
I hope so, because Christopher Walken, he deserves all his success. He's ever since, I'd say, the early 90s, he's had a lot of fun making fun of himself and playing into the meme of Christopher Walken. And God bless him, he's made a boatload of cash doing that, and has remained relevant. It's about time that he does something super serious again.
Yeah, because, you know, and I hate to say this, I don't mean to sound crass, but he's not getting any younger. I mean, none of us are. I would like to see him go out on a really strong note. You know, and I hope he's around for decades. Don't misunderstand me. You know, that's not what I'm saying. But yeah, I would love to see him.
I hope he shows up in Quentin Tarantino's last movie too.
I'm sure everybody will make an appearance in that clusterfuck, you know, whatever it turns into. All right, so Garcia says, Castellar says, the last Starfighter was better in the 80s than that Lynch movie.
Oh, shit.
Oh, Jesus, that's not high praise.
Is that, wait, that one is, I can't think of his name now. Quaid, right?
Quaid. Oh, Dennis Quaid?
Dennis Quaid, is that Dennis Quaid, Last Starfighter?
Isn't it Enemy Mine? The one with Lou Gossett, him and Enemy Mine. It's like a Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh in space.
Yeah. I'm just trying to sort them out, because those 80s
really bad
space movies. Yeah, the one with Louis Gossett just cracks me up.
Oh, yeah, that was Enemy Mine. All right, so he says that it did have great fight scenes. Because it takes about well, you said that, you know, Gurney Halleck, the Josh Brolin training fight scene in the very beginning.
It was great. Yeah. I like the concept of the blue and the red shield when you strike. That really was a really visually stunning, because it was done really well. And I thought that played out through the entire movie very well. It was like a great sort of emotional signal to use those colors as a signal for death without really seeing without seeing gore.
Yeah,
you're still seeing red, and it's triggering you.
Yeah. And yet with really good action scenes, it's not an action movie.
Right.
At least I didn't interpret it that way.
It was more mental, but the scenes were really well choreographed. I thought kind of better than a lot of than the Star Wars lightsaber battles, at least the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's apples and oranges, man. I mean, even the original trilogy is apples and oranges from this. And I'm not detracting from the original, but this doesn't have that tone of campiness that sort of permeates throughout Star Wars until you get to like Rogue One. You know, there's also
maybe the Star Wars has the original trilogy, or at least the first two movies, have those layers. They're a little bit childish, but it's still there. I could make an argument that Star Wars 1 is cinema.
I'd have to think about that. I'd have to watch it again.
On that hill.
I'd have to watch it again.
You know, I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm just pointing out the action sequences were really, really well done. And this one did not get as much hype over all that as, say, the Star Wars sequels, which were like, you know, hyped to no end by Disney, and they didn't deliver.
I don't know if this is what you would consider a blockbuster, even though it's probably a big budget science fiction movie. It's not a blockbuster.
Right.
That's why I'm saying, it's going to get released, the second one, somewhere around late November. I don't think it's going to make $1 billion because I don't think a lot of people like Dune is sort of a niche crowd.
Yeah, it's still
a very niche crowd.
It's still very much a it's still a sleeper as far as sci-fi properties go.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever really take off in the same way that, because it's just limited in its story. I mean, I don't think that Villenueve will go on to make the other two movies or, just go on with the rest of the series. But damn, I mean, I love the set designs. They actually went to Jordan to film.
Yeah.
And he was here. He said he was there for something else, and he's like, "Wow, if I ever get a chance to make Dune, I'm going to do it here." And like 5 years later, he's offered the chance to do Dune. And he was like, they had Momoa, and because I have it on the bunch of docs on the Blu-ray, and he's like, I've never seen rock like this. He goes, "I'm a rock climber. I've climbed like everywhere." He goes, "I've never seen anything like this." Okay, we don't need elaborate big CGI things, although some of that is done. Yeah. We could just go right into the desert and film.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It looks very natural.
The practical sets were appreciated because I'm sick of CGI right now.
Yeah.
I'm really sick of bad slapdash CGI, which films are turning more and more to. And it's disappointing because CGI can be really, really fantastic. Case in point, the goddamn worm in this movie. It looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, well, much better than it did in the, I'm sorry. There was a quick 2-minute video I had of this guy, and I must have taken off the bookmark, where he talks about what's happening with the state of VFX and how they're so overworked.
Mm-hmm.
Because, he's like, hey, people look at James Cameron's Avatar 2 and they're like, oh my God, that's spectacular. He goes, yeah, because Cameron took 10 years.
Right.
To make something like that. He goes, as opposed to these other companies, and he said, I'm not going to name any names, but he said he was involved with The Flash. And he said, God. What happens is the board of directors just decide that they want more.
Yeah.
So you don't have any time to actually make anything look good anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's just stressed to the max and like work to the gills. And the boards of these production companies just don't give a fuck. They just want more product.
Right. I'd rather see one really, really well done CGI monster than 100 robots falling out of a giant spaceship.
Yeah.
And this is the best sandworm I've seen since Beetlejuice.
All right, so what else do we got? We got it's about power, oppression, and rebellion.
Sure.
A lot of people love the novel. Yeah, but it's a niche crowd. It's a niche crowd. Greed and dishonesty. Yep. Chalamet is. Oh yeah, I think there's a Willy Wonka coming up. There's a new Wonka. Yeah, and it's not supposed to be comedic at all or something.
Okay.
It's supposed to be very dark.
As it's supposed to be.
Batista was. Yeah, he said there's like absolutely no humor. There are no jokes in this whatsoever. Chalamet has said.
No hip hop.
I don't think so. I didn't like.
No Georgie Jessel jokes. Come on.
I didn't like that one with Johnny Depp.
I hated that one.
Yeah, it gave me a headache.
Yeah.
Batista was in Hotel Artemis and Riddick. I didn't see Hotel Artemis. That was the one with Jodie Foster.
Don't know what it is.
Josh Brolin should be Dick Tracy. It's like a hotel that tends to hit people.
Hell yeah, man. You were absolutely right. He would do well as Dick Tracy if they did it, again, dark and realistic instead of that cartoony thing they did
with Warren Beatty.
Yeah, Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty, yeah. Or the Green Hornet. Okay.
Didn't they do Green Hornet?
Yeah, with Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen, yeah.
Brolin would be a good Britt Reed. Who the hell's Britt Reed? I don't know who that is. Josh could be a villain in Escape from New York. Oh God.
Here we go.
No,
all right.
No, make it stop.
Bradley Cooper could not do Snake Plissken. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nobody else is Snake Plissken, but Kurt Russell. Leave that alone. Leave that alone. So, I mean, when the action does kick off, it's like a good hour into it. I checked, it's like almost an hour and 20 minutes before the shit really starts to hit the fan. And then from there, it's just, these guys are on the run for the rest of the movie, which is probably, this runs 2 hours and 35 minutes. It didn't feel slow.
No, it didn't. It flowed really naturally. And at no time did I know what was coming next. Again, I had no background to it, so it wasn't like a slow plod towards a predictable ending. I was on the edge of my seat going, what's going to happen?
I was hoping for, and obviously it's not source material, but I was hoping for a Momoa v. Batista fight. That would have been cool to see those guys going at it, but of course that doesn't happen. Dr. Yua understands what he's done, and tries to correct it just a little bit by putting that broken tooth in Leto Atreides' mouth so he can breathe that poison out to kill everybody. Because he ends up getting double crossed. You knew that was coming. You didn't see much of Stellan Skarsgård, but when he was in there, he's Stellan Skarsgård, man.
I didn't recognize him at first, and that's probably a testament to his acting, and the makeup was really good. But once I realized it was him, I was like, oh, okay.
Stellan, yeah. I loved him in Andor. He was great in Andor, man. I can't wait for that next season. I hope they don't fuck it up. I hope they get it right.
I hope not.
Yeah, man. And then from there, it's just a big, fucking chase scene. I mean, we get to see a little bit of we get to see some action, or actually some really good action out of Momoa. Where he's defending them so they can escape.
Yeah, he goes down swinging, which was a great scene.
Yeah, and I had forgotten all about it when he goes down, that he comes back up again.
Yep.
And I thought Duncan, Idaho is just a great fucking name.
Yeah.
It's just a great fucking name. I'm like, fuck, that's a fantastic name. Because I haven't watched this in a couple of years. Just fucking great stuff. He goes down, and then they, end up going into the desert. Javier Bardem, another one, who I think kind of fucking hit it out of the park. It's just these fucking desert wanderers. And Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson, Atreides and Lady Jessica going native. The only thing that took something, out of it for me was seeing Zendaya.
Yes.
I'm like, well, I don't consider her a serious actress. Although lots of people do. She's in some sort of HBO teenager show about drugs or something. And I'm like, okay, you're Mary Jane, and I don't know why I have to keep looking at you, but she shows up like everywhere.
Yeah. Wednesday Addams is the new Zendaya.
Oh, what is her? Jenna Ortega.
Yeah. She's everywhere right now.
Yeah, well,
I'm getting a little sick of her and her piss face.
I haven't seen her in anything. Like, I didn't watch Wednesday. I didn't watch the
worth
Scream
watching,
movie.
At least once, even though it's a travesty. It's worth watching. There's some interesting stuff and some interesting performances. But yeah, she's not in anything. She's just sort of the it girl. She's just everywhere. You do one dance video, and next thing you know, they're on the cover.
That's the photo I keep seeing where she's doing this, but I've never watched any of this stuff, and I don't really have any inclination to. So, it'll be over by the time I get around to it, which is fine with me. We get to the end, where basically it just comes down to Paul and his mother. And that fight. And I thought that this was really sad because he's been having these visions of this man who is talking to him. I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to guide you through things. These visions that he has are sort of distorted. maybe it will be someone who guides them through, but it wasn't going to be Janus.
Well, yeah, but the fight that he has, it's sort of like he had to finally kill someone in order to get to the next level. And it's sad that it had to be that guy, because he tried several times to make him yield, but like they said, it was just the way, you had to kill him.
Yeah,
it shouldn't have happened that way.
Yeah, and it's so obvious, or at least like when I first saw it, and I can't remember that part of the Lynch film, and I've never been a huge Kyle MacLachlan fan anyway.
Right.
And at first I'm like, he's in deep shit, and then like Zendaya's like giving him all these condescending comments. He's going to make it quick for you.
Yeah.
I want you to die with honor. Take my knife.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved it. He would, if he had just come back after it was over and looked at her and said, "You were saying."
Yeah.
You fucking talk too much.
That kind of did happen, just not in
in words. Not in words. Yeah. But again, it doesn't always turn out exactly the way. They're like dreams. They don't exactly, like, I'm one of those people, I never remember my dreams, but every once in a while I do. And they never, it's not exactly, sometimes, the way you imagine it's going to be. And I found it to be kind of a tragedy, because this guy forces the fight.
Yeah.
Because he's unwilling to accept Paul. And, he ends up killing him fairly easily.
Yeah.
There's not much of a contest.
That goes back to the training scene where I was just like, yeah, he's just going to pull that same move. It's going to get him.
Yeah. And, that's kind of where the movie ends. He ends up joining the Fremen.
Yeah.
He is
anticlimactic. It's like, I got to watch the next movie now. Christ. I got to see what goes on next.
Yeah. I mean, you got 900 pages to get through. So you got to about the halfway point. In the movie, and so the second one's going to drop, probably in about 16 weeks or so, 16 or 20 weeks or something along those lines.
It's just in time for Christmas season, I guess.
Yeah, I want to see this on the screen. This would have been something to see in a big screen, in a big multiplex, on IMAX.
If they're smart, they'll do a short run of the first one on screens, because I did feel like, even though I have a 55-inch screen, it still wasn't enough. I mean, this film was made to be big.
Yeah, with big sound.
It wasn't big enough.
Those prayers of the Sardaukar, that sound just comes rolling out. You're like, holy shit, like this is, you can tell it was made by people who give a fuck.
Yeah, it was really good sound design, which is different than most movies. And even on my shitty little sound bar, it still sounded fantastic, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, same here.
So that would be one of the ones. That would be one of the films that you would want to go see. That environmental theater where the seats rumble and the walls.
Oh, 4DX.
I saw
4DX.
Yeah, I saw 1917 in that.
Did you really?
Theater, and it was really, really enhanced.
I saw the last Rambo movie in that, Last Blood. No, man, when that fucking that opening scene where he's helping those the first responders, I think they're in the flood. Mist came out of the top of the theater. I'm like, fucking wet. I'm like, it's fucking freezing. What the hell is going on here? I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it was serious. Like when he's in the truck and the seats fucking jumping all over the place. I'm like, I don't know if I like that necessarily, but maybe that was just, the Last Blood experience. Perhaps Dune will be. There was
smells when I went. There was some smells.
I don't remember smells.
Yeah.
But I mean, it comes back to this, again, human condition where the emperor, jealous of the Atreides clan gaining too much money, gaining too much power, sets them all up to be murdered.
Right.
So if that's the Christopher Walken that we're going to get, who's just a straight up fucking killer, or just, I don't know how he's going to play it. Maybe he's going to play it like a bureaucrat, who's just, some psychopath, or something like that. Or,
the potential for greatness is there. I just hope it's fulfilled, because now I'm interested. Now I want to see it.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing. I mean, we talked to people on, with the usual suspects. Eric hasn't seen it.
Okay.
Ryan hasn't seen it.
Okay.
John probably has seen it. But
John, I would peg as someone who read the book when he was in like 8th grade.
Yeah. I think it was actually Paul, his brother Paul, who turned me on to Dune back in the day.
That's on.
Yeah. So, I mean, but he can't be here right now, of course.
Right.
Unless he's streaming from his room. Get in that hospital Wi-Fi. Yeah, what's wrong? Come on. But, I mean, yeah, it's a great fucking movie. And I think even with this release that we're seeing, clearly not many people have seen it. With all that time that people spend at home and so on and so forth. Again, it remains a niche thing, perhaps by its own design. I'm okay with that.
If I wasn't doing this, I would have never bothered to sit and watch it.
It pays to be a part of an American Werewolf in New Jersey, man. I'm telling you.
It does. You force
all these fucking flicks underwater
that have become favorites. So that's a good thing.
Hereditary, Underwater. Yeah, fucking fantastic. Hold on a second. We got Anthony Jordan, Movies and Gaming. What's happening? Thanks for stopping in on the show. He says, one of the best movies of the past decade. It's some serious shit. I mean, if you look at Villenueve's roster, I mean, he's clearly a serious director.
Yeah.
The guy's not fucking around. If we look at his body of work, hold on, and I'm bringing that up now as a director. Let's see. What do we got? All right, so we got Dune Part 1.
I mean, he did the
Blade Runner 2049.
I wanted to hate that, and I didn't. So I
thought it was great.
On that.
Yeah. Arrival. I love Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
That might be on the roster for the summer of sci-fi. Have you seen that?
Nope.
Really? That's a serious fucking movie.
Sicario.
All right, maybe we'll get you. We'll have to. I don't remember what's on the list exactly. I have to look. Sicario, fantastic. Have you seen Sicario?
No.
You fucking living in a hole. Jesus Christ.
I don't know.
Prisoners.
I live in a hole.
You're living in fucking Asbury Park, man. It's depressing. Prisoners. I haven't seen Prisoners. I got to get to that. And we got Eric here. He says, I'll give this one a shot because it has a great sounding cast and no half-naked Sting. Too late, Eric. Too late. I hated the original. The original one is a fucking, it's not Dune. It's a David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
It's like, every Tim Burton movie becomes a Tim Burton movie.
Yes.
It's like even Batman. You look at the Batman movies. They're not Batman movies. They're fucking Burton movies.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Lynch.
That can play either way because The Shining is not The Shining. It's a Kubrick movie.
That's very true.
It's
very true.
It's what it is. But we love it.
Asbury Park, I lived there for one summer before leaving New Jersey for good no more. God bless you, brother. You're free and clear. Free at last. From fucking Governor Murphy right now and that fucking douche nozzle. So, we've talked about it for a good 45 minutes plus.
All right, Mike.
I'm going to hit you with the question.
Okay.
Is Dune cinema?
Ugh. That's rough because now I want to compare it to movies that are not sci-fi, and it's really hard to take sci-fi and horror.
Okay, let me
call it cinema. Well, you want
let's look at a sci-fi movie. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. I'm not trying to push you in a corner. Your answer is your answer. There's no wrong answer.
I'm just pondering it right now because I haven't spent a week thinking about it, and I'm trying to weigh the options. I definitely.
Is there a sci-fi movie that you would consider cinema?
Villenueve did a fantastic job at this. He is definitely a heavyweight director who could probably direct the hell out of anything.
You got to see those movies, man.
I would like to see him do something that's not sci-fi, so I'm interested to see one of the movies,
Sicaria. That's a serious fucking movie, man.
Yeah, if the book wasn't so niche and the following wasn't so underground, it would be easy to make an answer, but I guess it's cinema in the same way that Lord of the Rings was cinema, in that the performances, the cinematography, the soundtrack, it all elevated the source material to a point where you can say, I would go with but I'm not going to give that movie. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I'm not going to go all the way to 5.
Let me pull something up here. Hold on, because I just dug you make an interesting point, because you need parameters. So I just found this. This is just a quick Google search. What constitutes cinema? It says cinema is generally a branch of art that uses dialogue, editing, the scene's layout, light, sound, and decor by the film made. It has the opportunity to explain everything human in depth. It is the transfer of social, economic, and cultural issues by dropping moving images on a screen or curtain. I'm not sure what that last. Oh, it is the transfer. I'm sorry. Of social, economic, and cultural issues by dropping moving images on a screen or curtain. Under those criteria, speaking for myself, I would say that this constitutes cinema.
Okay.
I'm going to say so. There isn't a huge resource of science, like you said, there's not a huge resource of science fiction and horror that falls into this category.
Right.
When we talk about The Exorcist, I would say that constitutes cinema.
Right.
But
because even though it's about a 12-year-old possessed by the devil, that's not what the movie really is about.
Right. Maybe some of the things, like maybe Eggers the Witch.
Yeah.
It's not about the witch. It's about pride.
Right.
And ego, and all these different things. Or maybe Hereditary. It's about broken families and suffering in silence. But those they're few and far between. It doesn't happen. Like even Alien.
There's so much going on in Hereditary that, because of the source material, is not in Dune. And there's no chance to put that in Dune. Even though there's a lot going on in Dune, it doesn't reach Hereditary for me.
That's fair. It's far more human. Here we're on other planets, and there's just spaceships and giant fucking worms, and I can't wait to see the worms in the next movie, because I know what's going to happen. And I'm actually considering just cracking this book tonight and starting again, so that because I've got a stack already. I showed you, but getting ready in time for the second movie and being able to sit in the theater and enjoy it.
Right.
Patrick is. I don't know why you're shaking your head, Patrick. I have no idea why you're shaking your head, but I'm going to say it is cinema. Let me ask this: Did you rate the movie?
Yeah, I gave it a 4.5.
4.5 out of 5. So 0 being, I'd rather, pick my nose with a lit cigarette,
right,
than watch this movie again. 5 being, this is it. I'm going to go with 5.
Okay.
I can't think of anything wrong with it except for Zendaya. Which actually isn't a flaw because her role, at least at this point, isn't that significant. You know, so she's got a very muted, sort of thing, and I think it's like that Gal Gadot thing. That's why she was so good as Wonder Woman. She had just a muted sort of thing that she had to do and look fucking fabulous,
Right.
like every second of the day, which, is just, waking up in the morning for her, and so she's perfect.
Yeah.
You're like, this is, it doesn't get any better than this. You don't need anything. Hold on a second. He's hit. Oh, he hates Hereditary. Yeah. Patrick.
Oh, is okay?
His taste in music, his taste in movies.
We're trying to keep it in the realm of sci-fi and horror here.
Yeah,
seeing what can burst through genre and be on that next plane.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Dune easily summed up: all humans are flawed, all leaders are human. And thinks it's an awful movie. He thinks Hereditary is an awful movie. I want to see Dune. Yeah, I believe this is. I own a copy, so this time I didn't pull it off streaming. I own my own copy, but I believe this is available right now on Max, HBO Max. So is that how you saw yours?
Yeah, I watched it on Max.
Okay, so it's available on Max right now, and I'm sure you could probably find a used Blu-ray at this point, 2 years into it, for like a couple of bucks, and that's fine. Dune sounds cool. Dune is a fucking classic, and Villenueve has done a fantastic job of covering it. So, yeah, I mean, no complaints. Here in this channel, where we are very stingy with praise, 4.5 stars, 5 stars from me, because I just can't think of anything that's wrong with it.
Okay.
I can't. Like I said, except for Zendaya, and that's not really a flaw in the film. So.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad at all. Give it a 4.5. I'm just having a hard time deciding right now whether it's cinema or not. Because if you say that's cinema, then you kind of got to go, oh, well, Game of Thrones, and then it's not. And
well, I mean, you could argue that some of those in television is another thing entirely. I would argue television is a separate fucking category. Now, of course, there's tons of nihilism and human frailty and tons of politics and, all these sorts of things in Game of Thrones also. And I would argue that those first 3, maybe 4 seasons were fucking up there, man. I mean, fucking up there. But then the books ran out and fucking George never finished the fucking books, and they left it all to the screenwriters. And so the quality of the dialogue just went into the fucking toilet.
Absolutely.
And it became all about spectacle. And I got nothing against spectacle. I'm a Zack Snyder fan. So I have absolutely nothing against fucking spectacle. But yeah, I mean, you could see the first half versus the second half, and you're just like I just watch. I love sometimes watching The Long Night, but because it's all spectacle. But I look at that dialogue and I'm like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not 300, but it's something. Yeah.
All right. I think this is as good a place as any to bring this to a close. I said we wouldn't go an hour, but we've just talked about different plot points in the movie, and what we liked and what we didn't like. And I find this to be better than going through the sequence of events in the film.
Sure.
It's just a general fucking
in real time.
Hold on. I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I know the big problem is the author clearly doesn't want to finish the book, so they had to finish the story without him. The problem is George said the other day, he realized he's finishing up The Winds of Winter, supposedly, and he's written himself into a corner because he realized to finish the book correctly, he fucked up in the first book by killing Ned Stark.
Oh.
So he doesn't know how to write himself out of that now. He goes, did you ever kill somebody that you didn't realize you would need later on? And yeah, that's what he's fucking done. But he's having plenty of time blogging about the fucking Giants and that fucking bullshit. Yeah, I mean, at least he's enjoying. Well, he's done House of the Dragon. Yeah. House of the Dragon so far is what Game of Thrones was in that first season.
Yeah, that first season was tits, man.
Man, I got to tell you, I read the fucking book, Fire and Blood, and it's going to get worse.
Okay.
It's going to get fucking. Whoa! This next season is going to be fucked up.
Oh, I hope so.
So yeah, it's going to be good. Okay, so 5 stars, 4.5 stars. It's cinema. It's begrudgingly cinema on the part of my guest here, Bill E. Jersey.
I'll give it that. It was definitely worth seeing. If anything else, especially for someone who doesn't give a rat's ass about Dune. Now I want to see Christopher Walken as the Emperor.
In complete seriousness, you should read the book. Read the book. It's good. It's as good a sci-fi as it gets.
Okay.
It's as good sci-fi as it gets. All right, Billy Jersey, do you have anything you want to plug?
No.
Okay.
Maybe. No. Wait, hold on.
Just drink my whiskey.
Accuracy, I'm looking at my calendar. Okay, August 7th, my band Otto's Jacket will be playing the opening night of the Middlesex County Fair in New Jersey. There will be fireworks, so come and see us.
Nice.
Monday, August 7th, Middlesex County Fair.
Okay, all right, sounds good. This channel will be here tomorrow night, talking and catching people up on the update of what's coming up with Dune 2. And all the information, what's going to be happening, who's starring and what, so on and so forth. We're going to do a review what's going on with that. On Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., I'm going to do a stream with Marty from the Trash Picture Show on one of the best fucking animated series I've ever seen. I'm talking about Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal Season 1. We're going to do a review of the entire fucking season. This show is fucking lit to the fucking core, and I can't wait to talk about it with Marty all the way in Dublin. We've been wanting to get this off the ground for a long time. Earlier, a few weeks ago, I picked up Season 2. Season 3 has been greenlit, so we're not done yet. There's going to be more fucking Primal. I can't wait to talk about it. And then on Wednesday night, at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do another stream talking about Secret Invasion, which so far has not been great.
Oh, no.
You're
killing me. I haven't started it yet. I'm waiting.
Well, it's the first episode. So there are 5 more episodes to go. The best scenes so far in the first episode are when Sam Jackson is in it, because it's Sam Jackson. And I always enjoy watching Sam. That's why I did it, because if it was something else, I probably wouldn't have even covered it. But I'm like, I want to see what Sam Jackson's doing. So far, it hasn't knocked me over, but time will tell.
Waiting to see it with my drummer, who's a huge MCU guy. So I hope it doesn't suck.
Yeah. Same here. I don't want it to suck either. I want the MCU to do okay. Now, Patrick and I have been talking about, he brings up an interesting point. Looking at the Lone Wolf and Cub movie series, which is based on the manga series Lone Wolf and Cub. And Patrick, you can reach me on Twitter. I DM'd you because I shut down that second IG page. I wasn't doing anything with it. And we'll set it up. If you want to do it next Monday and start it, that's fine. I think there's 6 movies in the series that we have access to, and we can start from there. And those will be fun. Little samurai flicks. Samurai flicks are cool. Okay, my thanks to Bill E. Jersey for stopping in tonight. Next week, I'll talk to everybody in the chat, but I think I have an idea of what I want to do for next week's Sci-Fi Fantasy, and we'll see who wants to jump on that. It just won't be Monday because Patrick and I will be doing Lone Wolf and Cub. We'll see you all in the next video. I'll be back tomorrow talking about Dune 2. All right, all the best, everybody.
All right, thanks,
Later,
man.
Gators. Peace.